There are people in this space that build things, and there are people that build worlds.
Today, we're talking about one of those people. He just got handed the keys to the biggest brand in Web3, and honestly, it's the move that makes the most sense.
He handed out seed phrases to community members with no plans for what he would do with them. Years later, he activated those wallets, and nobody saw it coming. This is Unboxing Web3, and today we're unboxing Michael Figge.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know who Michael Figge is, this guy has one of the most interesting origin stories in the Web3 space.
Before Web3, Figge co-founded a creative production company called Possible. Over the course of a decade, he designed over 200 arena and stadium-sized shows. The VMAs, the Billboard Music Awards, Coachella, the Super Bowl halftime show.
So when we talk about someone who understands the spectacle, who knows how to make 100,000 people feel the exact same thing at the exact same moment, that's the foundation this guy is working from.
In 2020, his team built what became the world's biggest extended reality stage using Unreal Engine, and they won an Emmy for it.
And then something happened that changed everything for him. He minted a Bored Ape.
Figge was there from the beginning, a genuine OG. BAYC is what got Figge into Web3 in the first place. The community, the culture, the feeling that something real was being built there, it sparked something in him.
And that's the thing about Figge. He doesn't just observe something and move on. When something gets him, he goes all in. He minted his ape, fell in love with this community, and immediately started thinking about what he could build inside of it.
And to build what he had in mind, he needed the right team. By the time the rest of the world figured out who Beeple was, Figge had been in the trenches with him for 10 years.
And they put that relationship to work. Figge, Beeple, and Guy Oseary, one of the most powerful managers in music history, whose clients include Madonna and U2, co-founded a company called We Knew, and out of We Knew came 10KTF. Now 10KTF was built around a fictional tailor, Wagmi-san, operating out of a fictional place called New Tokyo, where holders from top NFT collections could bring their digital avatars in and have custom items crafted for them.
And here's a good example of how Figge thinks. Back then in the beginning of 10KTF, he handed out seed phrases to community members with no plans for what he would do with them. Then years later, airdrops land in those wallets that moved the story forward in a way nobody could have predicted. People had been holding plot devices and didn't even know it. When most people in this space were thinking about the next drop, he was writing plot twists for a story he hadn't finished yet.
And the world he was building in New Tokyo wasn't just a story, it was about style.
BAYC has always been rooted in streetwear and fashion culture. That's part of the DNA. And Figge has the relationships and the credibility to activate in that world in a real way.
Best example is Gucci. Through 10KTF, Figge orchestrated the Gucci Grail project, where Gucci's creative director, Alessandro Michele, designed custom digital outfits crafted by Wagmi-san for PFP holders across 11 top NFT collections, including Bored Apes. This wasn't a logo drop or a banner ad. Gucci's creative director was literally designing fits for your ape.
And that was just the beginning. That Gucci relationship that Figge built through 10KTF grew into something even bigger once Yuga was in the picture. It eventually led to the Gucci Codependent, a collaboration that produced both an NFT and a physical sterling silver necklace tied to Yuga's Other Side metaverse.
He also brought Puma into the mix through 10KTF. Again, not a one-off licensing deal, an actual integration into the world he was building.
This matters because fashion is one of the clearest on-ramps for people who aren't already deep in Web3. It's culture they already speak.
And Figge knows how to open those doors. And he knows that when you do it right, it doesn't just feel like a sponsorship, it feels like culture.
And that speaks to something bigger about how Figge operates, his network, because none of those doors open by accident.
Figge and Oseary were already co-founders together at We Knew when Oseary went on to sign BAYC as a management client, bringing his full entertainment infrastructure to the club. Gucci, Puma, the biggest names in music, that's the network Figge operates in. Those are the rooms he was already in before any of this even happened.
The thread through his whole career, from Possible, We Knew, 10KTF, and now Yuga, is that he consistently builds with the best people, and the best people want to build with him. That's not a small thing when you're running the biggest brand in Web3.
We've talked about the storytelling, the fashion, the connections, but we have to spend a minute what might be Figge's most undeniable strength, putting people in a room together. NFT NYC 2022, while everyone else was doing panel discussions and sponsor booths, Figge took over a warehouse in Brooklyn. He didn't throw a Web3 event, he opened a portal to a city.
And that's exactly what he was doing at the Super Bowl, at Coachella for over a decade. The whole philosophy has always been that an experience is only real if people forget where they are.
The club has always had an incredible community energy. What Figge brings is the ability to turn that energy into something people talk about for years.
So recently, Greg Solano, founder of BAYC, announced that he'd be stepping back from the CEO role, and he named Figge as his successor, calling him the right person to lead the company into the next phase.
And it's worth pausing on that, because Garga built something genuinely remarkable. BAYC didn't become the most recognized collection in NFT history by accident. The culture, the humor, the IP freedom they gave holders, that was all intentional, and it was rare.
What Figge represents isn't a departure from that. It's a continuation by someone who was there at the beginning, who minted his ape, fell in love with this community, and has spent the years since building the kinds of experiences, stories, and relationships that make communities worth being a part of.
He's already outlined his vision, bringing people together IRL and in the other side, reigniting a love for collecting through storytelling, and continuing cultural collaborations in fashion and art. He can't wait to see where the club goes next under Figge. That's it for Unboxing Web3, and we'll see you at the club.